Here in Claygate with cousin Howard. Howard, this is a beautiful area. What first attracted it
Well,
to you?
Sarah and I lived in this area for a good few years before we actually came into Claygate. A lot of the villages around here are all very close together. You're only 2 miles away or 1 mile away or even a walking distance away from the next village. But the thing about Claygate is that no one comes through Claygate to get to anywhere. It's a little end of the road in itself, which means that as a community it's very tight-knit. Everybody knows each other. You don't get horrendous trucks going through, you don't get a rat race, you don't get commuters driving through it. So for that reason it's very quiet and safe as well. A lot of families move over here and they settle here for that very reason. So the friends that you make tend to stick around for quite a long time. It's a well-served village for food and drink and general shopping. It has its own independent butchers, it's got its own independent fish market, it's got its own independent bakery, it's got its own independent greengrocers. There are 4 shops where you can go and buy wine and spirits. There are 2 Indian restaurants, there's an Italian restaurant, there's a Chinese restaurant, and there are 5 pubs. And there's 5,000 people in this village, so that's not a great deal. Similarly, when there are events in the village like the annual flower show, the annual concert, the annual fete, the beer festivals, the village really come out and support that. Everybody comes out and supports it. They put on a real carnival atmosphere around the village. Live bands are playing everywhere. People are enjoying themselves. And that's great. And that's what I really love about Claygate.
And how far is it to commute to London?
You can be at someone's desk. I can be at a client's desk in central London in under an hour from here. We can either get a bus down to Surbiton, I can pick up a fast train that takes 19 minutes to get into Waterloo, or I can get a train directly from Claygate, but it's a longer walk to the station. That's an hour to door to get into central London. I can cycle up into central London along towpaths and river paths through parks in just over an hour to central London, so that's also something I do quite a lot. Equally though, you can get out into the country in 10 minutes, and you can be in the south coast in less than an hour as well. The road connections are pretty good.
Hello, beautiful. Hi there. Aren't you pretty?
Unfortunately, since we've been in the EU, British politics has lost its way. We're swamped by the EU. We're of the old school. We want to get out of the EU. My daughter is entirely the other way, wants to stay in it because it's all they've known. We keep telling her the country can survive perfectly well on its own, as we did before we joined the EU. We actually didn't join the EU, we joined the common market, which was a good thing. But the bureaucrats in Europe, like everything else, have turned it into what they want it to be.
So do you have any concerns about when Brexit goes through on October the 31st, if it does?
No, none at all. Countries survived perfectly well before, and that will survive perfectly well after.
This is a 1/12 scale model of a Sanderson beam engine built by Sandersons and Co of Glasgow in around the 1870s, some period like that. And I finished this model about 2 years ago. And we can now demonstrate it running on compressed air.
It would normally run on steam.
It would normally run on steam.
And this would have been circa what period?
1846 this design was first built, and there is one in a museum in Germany. I think that's the only one that's still in existence. And it's a nice model. This would have been used to power a small mill or something of that nature, an industrial power supply. That's basically what it is. And that's it really. Yeah, it's originally an 060 pannier tank built for the Great Western Railway. And at the end of steam, some of these were bought by London Transport for doing night work and repairs when the electricity was off on the underground. So they were underground engineering trains at the end of the life. This would have been towards the end of the mid to the end of the 60s, 1960s. So yeah, hence it's in London Transport colours, because being a Londoner, I thought we'd have a change. There's plenty of these in green and black dotted around.
Do you see any correlation at the moment in time between British politics and American politics?
Ooh,
Apart from there being
I
a
would have
woman.
said so. Blonde hair,
Blonde hair.
massive.
Slightly
Same ability,
eccentric.
same ability at kind of opening their mouth before engaging brain.
Yeah.
And kind of we're slightly more forlorn than you. You seem to have a bit more of a direction. We are in this no man's land that's lasted for nearly 3.5 years, and it doesn't seem to get any better.
Bit of an unsettling time, I think,
Yeah.
and quite eccentric people at the top, which is worrying, I think.
In the States, I know it's coming up October the 31st. What are the concerns about Brexit at this point in time?
That
Well, I think-
it won't get through Parliament.
Yeah.
That's one of the concerns, because that's the reason we've been we're in this stalemate. We've got to a point where it just doesn't seem to get beyond Parliament. Whatever you voted, stay, remain or leave, it's now a situation where I think it's an impasse. Nothing will get going, and I can't see this.
Well, whatever
Moving on.
happens, it is worrying, because there's a lot of unanswered questions, like what's happening with trade and businesses,
Yeah.
and so there's a lot of unanswered questions. But it's been going on now for over 2 years, so I
3
think
years,
people 3
yeah.
years. So people have got used to this unknown. So we'd like it sorted. And,
There's a general state of chaos at the moment.
state of
isn't there?
chaos
I would say
seems to be the
yeah,
norm.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, state of chaos, and we have politicians that now lie. So you have to prove that they're not lying, rather than actually politicians that tell the truth. And that's very much in correlation with your country, where you can just say what you want, and you don't really have to prove it. You don't have to have any
And you
backup.
can go back on
just
your word.
say it. To do with your country, for example, Trump talking about climate change. Our country, where Boris talks about and tells lies about the NHS, and the money we'll get back from the EU. So there's a big correlation between fibbing